So you know the Bloodstained Men on that day didn't have 13,000 people drive by. They maybe had 600 or 700 people drive by. So we 10x'd what they got. So the most important thing is getting.
Hello, Intactivist. I am back with Daniel for part two. So, Daniel, I was talking to an Intactivist about using your memes from your website, and I was wondering who can use your memes and who can like spread it around, or do they even have to ask for your permission?
My memes are all from other people that I mean, I don't think I've made maybe a couple of them, but there's 9,500 of them. Whoever did these memes is the one that owns them, in my opinion. We all do this so that we can enhance intactivism and make people better. The reason why I started collecting these memes is, number one, I wanted them as a draw for my website. So it's going to be, I had the mime library on my website, and NLI or nextlevelintactivism.com under mime library. And those have been down for a little bit. What's going to happen? What we've been doing is we got the Mautic system. I know we talked about that. The Mautic system is now up and running. What I have to do is I have to connect a pop-up from Mautic for my website into Mautic, so that anybody that goes onto my website and they sign up for our newsletter, that will go into our Mautic system. That way we have their information. We can communicate with them in the future. We can send them emails and that type of thing. And they're going to go into a specific segmented group within our Mautic system, which is going to be the Intactivist group. What I want to have is a button at the top where you can actually download the entire MIME library onto your computer. The reason why I want to do that is because, let's say you're going on to the library and you have to go on the website and you have to find the topic and then you have to download it and then you have to upload it. Well, that's a lot of time. Where if you just had it on your computer, and it does take quite a bit of gigabytes. I'm not exactly sure how big it is. It's they can grab it off of their computer and directly upload it. So that's why I'm going to put it as a direct downloadable link from probably Dropbox. So it'll be uploaded into Dropbox, and then anybody can click on that link and they can download the whole MIME library. It might be 2 sections, I'm not sure, depending upon how much space I can use for free in Dropbox. But yeah, anyways, yeah, that's completely free. They're open for anybody that wants to use them.
Awesome. So, I've noticed that you've been recruiting for NLI quite a bit. So, how many people do you have currently working at Next Level Intactivism?
Well, I probably have like 4 or 5 that have been pretty consistent throughout the years. We're getting to the stage now where I've got to figure out what we're going to do with our volunteers, people that want to do something. I'm still thinking that we should send them off into their own organizations, but we're not going to be making phone calls like we were in the past, and we've got to figure this out. It might take some financing somehow, but so we were using the system. It was called Voice Potato, and what it did, it would take the recording and it would send it directly through a Google Voice mail into the person's mailbox. Unfortunately, Google Voice, I think, caught on to that somehow with their AI systems, and now they know that we were using it for protecting babies, so they shut that down. So, anyways, I think that made me want to figure out how to do this in a very short time, very, very quickly. So I did some research. I found this company called Dial My Calls. So I wanted to dial my calls, and it's like, I don't know, 6 cents a credit or whatever. So this is why I created a new GoFundMe for $250. We're going to buy 3,000 credits. By the way, some angel.
It got muted again.
Sorry, I keep getting a phone call. It's a very important phone call, but obviously I can't take it right now. But sorry. So, anyways, my call to send out call 39 phone numbers last night, and it sent 35 messages. We had 3 2-minute recordings sent out and recorded. I verified it with my own, and I was going through. This is an interesting story. I was going through the data on which calls were sent and which ones weren't, and there's one that had 3 busy signals. So I looked it up in the database, found out it was a studio line. So about an hour ago, I called the studio line. I'm just like, let's see if this is active. Let's see if somebody's active. And sure enough, there's a guy on a talk show, and this guy was talking about, here it is. It was the Talk of Las Vegas, 101.5 FM KDON, and it was on the Steve Sanchez show. So I get on the Steve Sanchez show, and I start talking. This is the most ironic part. He's talking about how misbehaving children, he's talking about a kid some high school kid in Missouri that attacked a 65-year-old teacher. which is absolutely horrific, and some other things some other violence that was happening, and just these kids. And he's talking about how when he talks about the degradation of our society, people just shut him off and they want to listen to him, and how they'll just tune him out, and how what he's saying is so important. And then how if you're in a foxhole, he's the type of guy you want in the foxhole with him. And as soon as I challenged this guy with a little bit of information about the psychological damage and the harm of circumcision, literally hangs up on me. Just hung up on me. But I got out some information. So this was in Las Vegas. I got out the Bloodstained man, that we had a billboard in Las Vegas, that there's a reason why these protesters are out there, and that this harms the child. It creates psychological damage. And then the guys he asked me, was this, and I'm going to actually, I have a recording of it. So you're going to be able to hear this. And I'm going to start playing this on social media, because it's really ironic. This guy's sitting here talking about the abuse of, the damage of psychological development, the damage of our society, the behavioral problems. And here is the exact one of the most important reasons why this is occurring, why this is happening in the United States of America in particular. And he hangs up on me. It's just so ironic. And then I have his producer, his producer's like, oh, I just guess he wanted to talk to another caller. I'm like, wow, that's weak, man. That was really weak. But anyways, that just happened. So we did get on the radio in Las Vegas, and the Bloodstained Man is in Las Vegas right now. So at least there's that. But I did get part of the message out, and it was pretty good. So anyways, this is all part of the things that we do. We gather data, we send out emails, we send voice messages. Now, I don't think we're going to be doing the voice messages like we were before. I'm just going to have to use this system. There's just no way, because I was spending weeks making phone calls, and I can press a button and send out 1,000 calls that leave messages overnight. So I don't know. I'm going to have to kind of figure out how to utilize the new technology. How do we take, because, I actually want to have my own software. It's kind of like Mautic, like, for us to pay for like Constant Contact or MailChimp for a 30,000 email list, which we have, is about $350 to $400 a month, which is way outside of our price range. And so we found Mautic, which is an open source system, and now we have it on a server, and it's actually an online server that we can use at any time. It's constantly open. So we have that system. I'm like, can we do the same thing with this calling system? So there's got to be a way. Maybe someone that's a computer programmer that knows how to make software can help us create a system which we can automate these voice calls as well, because I don't think I can go back to that previous system. But the problems with the system, the voice potato problem, like I wasn't being able to get online with it. So I was having problems with that. And then I was having problems with Google Voice. And I'm just like, we got to scratch this whole system. So the whole system we thought we were running on last night has changed since last night. And so then I went and found the dial your calls and got on that system. I had a really awesome Intactivist donate $50 just to get the original points that we purchased last night. We still have a bunch of them, but we also reached like 270 of the 250 that we wanted. So now we're going to buy 3,000 of those. So that means we're going to be covering the next few events that we can with this system. And hopefully maybe somebody else can create another system. So if you have any listeners or people that are involved with this, that are programmers that know how to create such a system, I'm very interested in talking to those people.
Okay. So it seems like you're going through almost like a trial and error phase.
Right. Well, we
So
just discovered a way to make it so much easier. And this is going to make it so I don't have to worry about having 15 volunteers making phone calls. Because that's what I wanted, is something like that. But it's just like, what, if computers can do this so much easier, literally take what takes us weeks and hours and hours and hours and do it in a button change, it's like, why not? Like, why would we not do this? And I've had other computer programmers talk to me about this, and people that brought it up. And so it stimulated my thoughts into this area. But I was like, okay, we just got to use what we use. Before when I first started doing this, I was leaving my own voicemail every single message. By the time I was done with an outreach program, I couldn't even talk. My voice was gone. Like, that's how many conversations, and I'm leaving the same message over and over and over and over again. And that's where we developed our scripts. But then we started automating the scripts and we started recording them. I found that I could use their software that would make it, that it could still sound good if we recorded it and then played it. And so then I was playing it off my computer into the recording of the phone. Like I get their beeps then I realized that there was this other system that this other person told me about that was Voice Potato, and then we could directly send that information. And now I'm just like, scrap all that. So it's a process. It always is, but our whole idea has always been about being effective and efficient. So that's the most important thing is being self-critical about what you're doing so that you can make yourself better. And if you get stuck in your ego and you're like, oh, this is the way I'm doing it, and this is the best way to do it, and you get stuck like that and you won't listen to other people, that's when you get stagnant. You start to reduce your efficiency. So yeah, this is going to make us much more efficient. So I'm really excited about this. It's just it's going to be a way better program. I can put in volunteers to better use. We still want to make sure that volunteers have actions they can do. I mean, there's so many areas that we could move into with this type of system. It's basically, we need to upgrade our systems to the same systems that a business has, right? If I was a telemarketing system, they have access to these systems, right? So we need to have the same type of internet email marketing, which is the Mautic system, and we need to have the same telemarketing system, which at this present time, the way I'm going to approach it is I'm going to leave messages. I'm going to leave massive amount of messages at night because these are businesses when people are not at home. So the majority of these business lines will not be answered. They will leave messages and then we'll call the next day, and there'll be a short, much quicker, much easier call, maybe to ask them to gauge their opinion of the message, to see what they thought about it, to kind of gauge their understanding and awareness and where they're at on this issue at that stage. And that's kind of be where we're kind of moving towards. I've been making phone calls today. The reason why I made this phone call today was because I was just following up on the phone calls, that the email or the messages that were not delivered. It was KDWN, and man, it was fantastic because I got enough information out before they shut us off, and that was in Las Vegas. So, and we got a protest group in Las Vegas right now. So I'm really excited about that. So we were on the radio just this afternoon. And like I said, I'll share that with everybody so you'll be able to hear it.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
last time we spoke, you kind of talked about, I don't have enough volunteers. I might have to give up helping the Bloodstained men. But do you think that you have enough people now, or do you think you need more people to keep this going?
To be honest with you, I don't need anybody right now unless they're willing to take on a new program, because what I need now is money to finance these. I'm not going to go back to that same system. There's just no way. It was too much time, too much effort. And I'm trying to worry about volunteers the whole time. And, I just didn't get the volunteers that I thought I would. I just assumed that, because if somebody had brought this to me and said, hey, I've created this program, this system based off of what works in internet marketing and what works for businesses and stuff like that. I mean, the first time I ever heard talk like that was Anthony Lasquadro at the 2015 annual symposium in San Francisco. And he did a talk, and he was talking about how he was an internet marketer and how he's, moving towards marketing. I was like, well, that's just genius, because, I struggled in a business for many, many years. And I knew I was a really good personal trainer because I had the highest level of education, and I was still struggling to get clients. And these people that were like, they weren't nearly as educated, they weren't nearly as good at trainers, and they were making money hand over fist because of the way they were marketing their services, and it had to do with like getting multiple clients at once. But I'm just watching these people that like have half the education I have, making way more money, and then I started learning how to target my audience, how to market my business, instead of like trying to be everybody, everything for everybody, which, I considered I could be, because, I could work with anybody because of my education. So I figured I could work with everybody. But when you try to just set out a blanket cast like this, you probably heard the term niche marketing. When you target your audience with niche marketing, you're going to see much better results. And this is why focus was on rehab and injury recovery and injury prevention. So I started doing that. I started talking about people in pain and getting out of pain and moving better and feeling better. And all of a sudden my business started to blow up. I started working with physical therapists and chiropractors who were sending me tons of business. And I tailored my message specifically towards my audience. And that's the same thing I've done with the media. Like the emails that I've written is specifically targeted towards the media. The script is targeted towards the media. And that's why I think we had so much success with the vast number of increase in articles that we were able to get published in the time period that we were doing it. We're targeting our audience. So this is the same thing that every group of intactivists needs to do, whether it's Your Whole Baby or Intact America. If they don't have a system set up like Mautic, I'm like, why not? Why do you not? It costs $200. It's cheap. It's easy to do. Luke Artanis knows how to do it. He's done it for us. It's a very easy to set up system, and it will save tons of money. Like that's what I want to do. Influence how I want to influence intactivism is by helping influence the influencers. And so I think that's kind of where we're going to be moving towards. I don't know. Things are up in the air, but the whole idea of gathering a whole bunch of intactivist volunteers who are going to be sitting at the phone and dialing messages and sending voicemail recordings and stuff like that, I don't think is going to be necessary. We still need people to send emails. We still need people to open up new target audiences. I mean, the idea is you take an influential target, someone who has influence, and of course, media has influence. They're called influencers. We look at midwives and doulas. That's why we're going to target the midwives and doulas, because those are influencers. You know, you could target priests and churches because they're influencers. So you could target child psychologists, sociology professors, anthropology, cultural anthropology professors, nursing professors. I mean, for one example, I targeted this one lady. I was doing research on UTIs. And there was this lady, she was part of this research study that supposedly showed this rare, minuscule reduction in UTIs, right? And so I went and I approached her and I said, I'm a victim of this. I feel very upset that this was done to me. If I see that you're actually a researcher that was involved in this study that I think is literally hurting children. This lady almost cried on the phone with me, bro. Like almost was in tears on the phone with me. She says to me, oh my God, I was very young. I was just out of college. I completely disagree with that right now. She's like, I'm a nursing student in the University of Tennessee. She's a PhD, but she teaches nursing students. She's like, I have students every year that I have a whole thing that I give them, a resource that's got tons of medical information inside of it. She's like, why don't you send me some of your information? Because I told her I had done extensive research on it. Why don't you send me some of your information and I'll include it for my students, right? This is a nursing professor at the University of Tennessee. So that's how we have influence. I'm not going to be able to talk to every nursing student that she has influence over. I'm not going to be able to sit there in class or wait out of class and hand them flyers when they leave the class, although that's a great idea to do. But who am I going to be able to have influence without but influencing somebody that has influence? So that's why I think that we need to be influencing the influencers, and we need to be doing outreach. Okay, we don't need to be doing, I know there's a lot of stuff inside of our groups and we all communicate and all that kind of stuff, but we need to be reaching outside of our groups, to the people that have this influence. I think that's why cockfight.org is so important and valuable. We did get Cockfight, or we helped. Again, I hate to say we got the article published because we're not the ones with the boots on the grounds. We're just doing stuff behind the scenes. But Scott White, who's been one of my most loyal volunteers and since the beginning, and has helped me out tremendously out of anybody, probably it's Scott White. It has been the most help that I've ever had. Because I told him, I was like, you know what? I tried to do an outreach program for Cockfight in Kansas City, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. I was just like, maybe it's Cockfight. Maybe it's the name of it. You can't print Cockfight in the news, maybe. So I was kind of like, I just don't think that it's going to be that Cockfight and the news mix that well. Well, Scott's like, I don't care what you think. I'm going to do it anyways. And he ran his own program for Cockfight. And guess what? They got an article published. And so,
That's awesome.
And you think about this. So Scott White didn't listen to me. And here I am, the one that's kind of created this system, and he didn't listen to me and went out and did it himself and got an article published. And you got to think, okay, when you're a protest group, your main goal, your fundamental goal is to reach as many people as possible, right? It's just how many people can get the message? How many people can I reach? And if that's your goal and that's your main goal, then the most important thing any protest group can do is get media coverage. Because you can have 500, 600, 700 people drive by you in a daytime, right? At the most. You can have 10,000 people read your article on the news. Okay. Like we had one article that was published in I think I mentioned this before. It was in like a rinky dink, backwoods media publication. And they were so backwards. They were using the website counters from like the 1980s. I think these things have been like decommissioned by now, but they were website counters and they had 13,000 views on this one article. Okay. So, the Bloodstained Men on that day didn't have 13,000 people drive by. They maybe had 600 or 700 people drive by. So we 10x'd what they got. So the most important thing is getting media coverage for a protest group. And so that's why what we are doing is so important, and why, even what Scott White did is so important. So now the way we're going to do this is I've got to get done. I didn't want to be involved with money, but we have to until I can get a software system set up that can do these phone calls for us and do the same quality and deliver the same quality as dial your calls. I got to figure out how to do that. But right now, I think I'm going to have to just do funding until we have enough of those credits where we can, do a program for all of these people.
So is the goal of NLI to assist all intactivist groups? Because I
Yes.
feel like NLI could relieve the burden of many groups like Intact America, Bloodstained Men, Cockfight, Brahim, Your Whole Baby, Gowdaf, of not even having to need a media outreach team, at least when it comes to them protesting. Could they just like give you their information where they're going to be at and be like, hey, can you blast this through your Mautic system or whatever system you have to go and hit the area of
Yeah.
reporters there?
That's the whole idea, really. And now that I can do this on my own with the click of a button, and man, my voice is still the same after I press that button. This is a lot better. So I'm actually really excited. And whoever that angel investor was, it's anonymous, but they gave me $250, and I really appreciate that. So if you're listening, thank you so much. But we're going to use that money. It's $270 we have. Whatever we gain from that, we're going to put that into that system. We're going to purchase as many credits as we can. So by the time the cockfight is ready to go, it's going to be the main thing is gathering the data. Another thing we could benefit from is a web scraper, someone that knows how to make a web scraper. So right now, the most important people I guess I could look for help with is computer programmers that are going to stick through it. I've had a bunch of computer programmers tell me they're going to do this, and then for whatever reason, one got a divorce and other things, and then one was so damaged. I mean, there are men that are so upset about this that they literally can't function, and they start doing intactivism and they get burned out and they quit. And I totally get that, because I was feeling that way myself. It's so frustrating, because you have the information, you have the truth. Nobody can beat us in any debate. Like, you could be the worst intactivist and there could be the Einstein level doctors, and we will rip a hole through them. There's just no way they can defend this. It's so indefensible. And so it's so frustrating, because you have the information and you just want it to be out there. And so you think that, hey, people are going to want to do this and contribute to this, but then there's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of men that are, disgruntled by this. But I'm like, hey, if we can create systems that make these processes easier. So yeah, now I'm kind of be like, where do I need to put these volunteers if I get volunteers? Because, like I said, we still need computer programmers, but we still need people to send emails, web forms. At least web forms are still something that we don't have automated. And I don't think you can automate those, because you got CAPTCHAs, and a lot of those CAPTCHAs you have to go online and pick, like CAPTCHAs are designed to avoid mass sending through web forms. But anyways, so yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in a stage where we'll be just kind of trying to figure out, what to do with volunteers who do want to help out with this issue. But there's always something somebody can do. Like I said, there's so many new programs we could start. This could be branched out into so many different areas. We could have web scrapers for, specifically for various targets like the midwives and doulas. I mean, if we had a midwives and doulas data scraper, if we had people that wanted to write for the midwives and doulas program, if we had any doulas that are interested in giving some of these speeches that are going to be based off a PowerPoint presentation, where you go in and you just kind of read off a PowerPoint presentation, but also give your energy into it. I need people that are doing that. So people that are recording, that want to record videos, that want to be part of something. that, they can have your name professionally on this program. Once it's done, I hope to bring the curriculum to like Marilyn Milos and George Dennison of Doctors Opposing Circumcision, maybe Steven Sabovida and people like that, and just bring this to them and show them, hey, this is the curriculum. What do you think of the curriculum? Where do I need to fix it? What should I take in? What should I put out? What does it take to get your approval? To get your, hey, I support this. Maybe you could write out a little blurb for us, or maybe even contribute and make a video.
Have you
So
talked to them about this yet?
I've talked to a few of them, but the people that I've talked to, like I put one post on Facebook on my latest profile, and I had like 30 midwives get on there, be like, oh, I want to join this. Whoa, can I do this? I want to do this. So there's a lot of them that are out there. I'm at a third done with the curriculum. I want to get to be, like pretty close to like 80% or 90% done. And then I'm going to start like really bringing it to midwives and doulas. And I've been trying to become friends with lots of midwives and doulas online. But also, like I said, if we don't have a web scraper and we don't have somebody that can, a program that can do that yet, I'm going to go online and we're just going to be going down the list and doing Yelp searches and looking for midwives and doulas and gathering data the old school way and putting it into the database if that's what we got to do. And I'll need people for that until we have a web scraper. So, yeah, so go ahead.
For next level intactivists, it seems like you need to have more money, right? Because you need money to do things because you're automating more things. Is there a plan down the road to go nonprofit?
Well, this makes it a lot more likely that I will go nonprofit, because until I can find, unless I can find a software developer that can make this program cheap, I don't know how I'm going to get the funds for it without, and I just can't go back to the old way. There's just no way. I mean, pressing a button, this just frees me up to do so much more. I was spending so much time doing that, so many phone calls. I'll still be making the phone calls. That's the thing, is you still need a person on the line making the phone calls. So we're still going to need that, so there's still needs that we need to fill. So now what we've done is, okay, so I had 3 phases, right? The first phase is to gather the data. Second phase is the written word, which is email, web form. Third phase is phone calls, voice messages, telemarketing. I call it tele-intactivism. So we kind of just added a different side to tele-intactivism on the third phase. So not only are we just leaving messages, now so not only are we making voice phone calls, personal phone calls, we're actually talking to reporters, but now we're going to preface that with a message that is already left on their machines ahead of time. And then we're going to follow up with the phone call. Now, if they haven't heard the script, we'll give them the normal script and we'll kind of run them through it just like we do what we have been always in the past. But if they've already heard the script, if they've gotten the email, then we can ask them and we can start to. There was a Paul Settlemeyer, who is a fantastic intactivist. He's a sales manager. He literally runs a sales team and has for 30 years. And Paul was meeting with us back in the day when I used to run my own meetings on Monday for NLI. And, he gave us some excellent education on how to ask what he called open-ended questions. So I'm looking for people that like to talk about this, that are educated about this, and then have the skill that they can basically be, utilize these open-ended questions to kind of gather information from people and almost do like a little survey, but without making it sound like you're doing a survey, but just kind of finding out how people are reacting to the messages that we're giving, and then seeing if we can use that to improve and adjust our messages for the future. So anybody that wants to do that, that's not that's you. Like I said, you have to be able to talk, you have to be friendly, you have to be outgoing, you have to be educated. So it's not for everybody, but we definitely need that. And for people that just wouldn't want to sit back and behind the scenes, you could help us send web forms, because we're going to be opening up the database to not just messaging during a protest, which I think is the most valuable, of course, because if there's a bloodstained man on the ground, you've got something for the media to do. They got an art, event for them to cover. Obviously, that's going to be an alarming thing. They've got to protest it actually on their streets. That's going to gather their alertness, but we still need to use this huge amount of data that we've developed over the past 4 years, with phone numbers, emails, and all this stuff, and we need to start sending them. And so that's where the Mautic system is going to come in. The Mautic system is going to take a while because we have to be careful about getting spammed and sent to spam, and because we're going to be sending emails for people that didn't sign up for this. And so we have to be very careful about that. So what we're doing now is we're sending the emails first through the through regular email, and then it's a long system. But we need people to help with that too. So people that can help with email sending, web form sending, helping us to clean the email list that we do have right now is what we need right now. So we still need volunteers. We can still put anybody to work.
So question about phase 1 is your database collecting, right? That's your phase 1?
Yeah, correct.
So once you get the database collected in like a state, let's say, you don't need to update that state for like 4 or 5 years, right? Because you have that state done. Is that how you do it?
To a certain extent, but during the phone calls, during the process of using it, you're going to run into phone numbers that are decommissioned, emails that are sent back to you. So that's kind of like the process we have to. So now I got these whole numbers of emails that we sent out that, got the mailbox daemon returned or whatever, the undeliverable message. We have to remove those emails from our list. And that way those emails can be cleaned. Then once those are cleaned, we're going to send them through another cleaner, which is an online cleaner, which will hopefully remove any bad emails. And then we're going to start sending to those emails.
Is that automatic?
Slowly. What's that?
Is that automatic or is that like by hand?
Well, to clean the list, we probably have to do that. A lot of that's going to be by hand unless somebody knows how to automate that. I mean, I don't know how to take an email from that we get returned in Yahoo, send that email to something that gathers the email out of there, removes it from our system. I don't know if we can do that. So right now, unless somebody has a better idea, we have to do that manually. So, but once we remove those, because the thing is, if we have a high number of emails that are non-deliverable and we start sending those through Mautic right now, what's going to happen is we're going to get listed as a spammer and we're not going to get any deliverability at all. So we have to work within the systems that we have. So we have to be careful that we don't I can't just send out a massive email tomorrow to the whole list that I have. It would destroy our credibility and our deliverability. It would ruin the whole thing. So we just have to be careful with how we approach this. And so we do have to clean the list. We have to remove the non-deliverables. And I'm going to probably send the email. That one of the emails will be like, "Hey, if this email offends you, please, unsubscribe," or something like that. So, anyways. And then we're probably going to have to deal with it a little bit to some extent anyways, which means that after we've sent a bunch of these and we start getting people that are, unsubscribing, that list will clean itself, which Mautic does itself. Same thing that MailChimp does. Like if you have sent out an email, it doesn't get delivered to MailChimp, they'll test it a few times, they ping it, and then and if it's not delivered, then they'll stop sending it. So that way they don't hurt the deliverability rate. And so Mautic does the same thing. So
that was part 2 of a 3-part series with Next Level Intactivism's Daniel Rode. Quick update, Daniel did get completely funded on all of his fundraising, so there is no current funding concerns for NLI. Anyways, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you for hanging out with me and Daniel. Bye!